What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to a Victory Monday episode of the Dawgs podcast. No therapy session needed this week. Browns come out and get a huge win against the Ravens, keeping their season alive. Just Josh and myself, Justin dealing with some under-the-weather children, so he doesn't get to be here to enjoy this Victory Monday with us. Hopefully his kid's feeling better soon, though. We'll get Justin back in here next week. Huge win for the Browns, 29-24 over the Ravens. We got all the stuff to get into. Honestly, I'm just so happy to be here. I didn't know if we were going to get another one of these this year. I pretty much had booked myself Monday therapy sessions for the rest of the year until late January, or into December. So I'm excited to be here for a Victory Monday. Before we get into everything, though, remember, if you want to get intros and voicemails on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. We're putting out tons of content throughout the week. If you prefer to just listen to the show, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. You can also find us on every major social media platform, blah, blah, blah. Just search at the Dawgs Podcast. And lastly, if you're looking for more Dawgs content, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member, be a part of the Dog Pack Discord preview episodes. I can say that, but I can't say the other things in this open. You play fantasy football with us, hang out in the Discord with everyone, especially on game days. It's a good time. A lot of us Dog Pack members are going to be up in Berea for a Browns Backers Bash on Saturday. So that's going to be a good time getting to meet a lot of these guys that we haven't got to meet in person yet. It's just a good time for everybody involved. So if you want to be a part of that, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. Huge day for the Browns, 29-24, winning it for Jim Donovan. And I don't know about you. I don't know. I don't know if I am a huge believer in divine intervention, but I felt like I was watching angels in the outfield a little bit sometimes. Like Kyle Hamilton's about to intercept the game-sealing pass, and Jim Donovan just, get the fuck out of here. Rashad Bateman's about to catch a huge pass on a scramble from Lamar, just tilts the sun, puts it right in his eyes.
Perfectly, yeah.
Just, it was like watching angels in the outfield. Just
Dustin Hopkins was about to miss another field goal, and instead of going backwards, no good, it went in.
Blew it in.
Doink it right in.
Just like, thanks, Jim. We needed you there. It was just emotional win for the Browns. You saw a lot of guys get emotional. Kevin Stefanski getting to give the game ball to Jim Donovan's family. Nathan Segura and Andrew with an emotional call at the end. Just huge win for the Browns, because the loss of Jim Donovan before this, I was like, could this season get any worse? I felt like I lost a close friend in Jim Donovan. So getting a big win for him was awesome. And I was super pumped they were able to do that. I know we have a voicemail before we get into everything, kind of talking about, the game, Jim Donovan, all that. So we're going to hear from Kenny Mack.
Yo, guys, it's Kenny Mack, and I couldn't be more ecstatic than, number one, beating the Ravens and doing it for a guy that was truly legendary, Jim Donovan, the Velvet Voice. Man, you are super going to be missed. I love listening to you for the last 30 years of my life, man. You were amazing. Onto the game, I said something along the lines that would be magical or whimsical, because the Ravens wouldn't get their legs under them, and you might be able to capitalize that. And the Browns sure did after the Monday night win that the Ravens had. It was even more magical and whimsical, because in the fourth quarter, man, oh man, did you guys, it was unreal. There was that pass off of Bateman's helmet. Then there was the dropped INT and the other thing that was kind of whimsical and magical. I don't think it was in the fourth quarter, but that field goal that kind of doinked in. So I don't know, between the ghosts of Neff Chandler, Casey Coleman, and Jim Donovan, all of the awesome play-by-play guys we've had in the last couple of years, they helped us win. The biggest thing is, I don't want to dwell on anything too negative. I'm going to celebrate this win. Our receivers are way better with Jameis Winston. Blake and I said it 3 shows ago. We were ready then. I don't know what is holding the Browns back. I guess it was $250 million, but I'm glad they finally figured it out. Let's win out the season. Go Brownies. Oof, oof.
We didn't even plan the divine intervention stuff. Like, you just said that. You never even heard Kenny's voicemail.
It was divine intervention. I think we got to give a shout out to our good buddy Baker Mayfield. Like Kenny said, Ravens had them down big entering the fourth quarter on Monday night. They're looking to maybe rest some guys on a short week. Baker comes out, throws for 200 yards in the fourth, almost brings them back to the point where they can't rest any starters. They got to keep guys in there. So it was a total team effort. Browns QB of the future, Browns QB of the past,
working together
to take down the Ravens and keeping the Browns season alive. I think Kenny touched on a lot of good stuff in there, especially when it comes to the receivers. I even had made the case that without Amari Cooper, this was maybe one of the worst receiving corps in football. And I've come to the realization that and maybe I should have known this already, and I guess I kind of danced around it, was so hard to evaluate our offense and any of the offensive personnel, from the line to the receivers to even the coaching and any of it, with how bad of quarterback play we were getting. And it's amazing that we put in a quarterback who can go through progressions and go get rid of the ball quickly and put it on time and on target. All of a sudden, there's no drops. All of a sudden, guys are getting the ball in stride when they're open. You're giving guys like Njoku a chance to make a play and getting a touchdown. I mean, Cedric Tillman, 7 for 99 and 2 touchdowns. I'll go through some of their yards and catches, and then what is even more impressive. Elijah Moore, 8 for 85. Jerry Jeudy, 5 for 79. And Njoku, 5 for 61 and a touchdown. But it wasn't just the catches and the yards. It was Cedric Tillman, 7 on 9 targets. Elijah Moore, 8 on 12 targets. Jerry Jeudy, 5 on 8 targets. And Njoku, 5 on 7 targets. We didn't have one of these Amari Cooper games where he had 4 catches on 17 targets.
Right. Yes.
Because 15 of them flew 8 feet over his head out of bounds or bounced 3 feet short of him. The ball was on time, on target, in rhythm, getting everybody involved, getting guys into the game early, contributing. The offense, this was the offense that we thought we could have.
It was. I mean, this is the offense that we were promised all summer long, with, moving the ball, spreading it around, throwing it downfield. We didn't throw the ball downfield at all with Deshaun Watson. I mean, our downfield passing was next to none. I mean, this game, Jameis Winston taking shots to Cedric Tillman down the field, to, Elijah Moore down the sideline. I mean, it was just so much fun to see. It's like, this is NFL offense. This is what I watch in all the other games. Why can't I watch it in my freaking Browns games? And in this game, we got it finally.
There were a couple of times where I was like where Jerry Jeudy caught a nice crosser and made it move up the field and tiptoed and just couldn't quite keep it about. And I was like, he looked explosive. Yeah, like he caught the ball and turned the Jets on. I was like, oh man, he looks fast.
Well, you hit a guy in stride while he's running. Guess what he can keep doing?
Yeah,
run.
I was like, this guy he looked fast. This is the first time I've looked at a Browns receiver this year and been like, oh, that guy's fast.
Yeah, and I mean, like a guy like Cedric Tillman, if you want a guy to be your go-to target in the fourth quarter when you need a touchdown, you need a score, he needs 10 targets or 8 targets in the game prior to that point to really get to get his confidence up. He's flowing. He's been catching passes the whole game. He's got that. Let's see, I just made this catch on the sideline. I just made this catch over that guy. Then when you make that throw in the end zone, I mean, he's got it. Like, he knows he's going to make that catch, rather than that's the only target he saw the whole game type of situation.
I think Cedric Tillman's got 15 catches, 180 yards, and a few touchdowns.
2 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks since Amari Cooper.
And honestly, last week against the Bengals, he started to do most of his damage after Deshaun went out. It's really been a game and a half that he's put up a lot of those numbers, I feel like.
Yeah.
Cedric Tillman was Tennessee's best receiver.
Yes.
Before his injury.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was the leading receiver on a team that was pretty good, that had a very explosive offense with him and Hyatt and Hooker.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe he's coming into his own.
And if you guys remember, if you've been with the show for a while, when we did the draft night and Cedric Tillman was drafted in the 3rd round, I was really excited because the Giants just took Jalen Hyatt, the pick right before we took Tillman. And I was like, we got the better Tennessee receiver. Jalen Hyatt was only Jalen Hyatt that year at Tennessee because Tillman had the injury. Yeah. But the year before that, there was Jalen Hyatt was not a thing, and Cedric Tillman was the dog, the lead guy for Tennessee. And he started out that last season, senior season, as the main guy, got hurt, and then Hyatt exploded. But that offense is gimmicky and kind of lends itself to that. But Tillman had that track record, the history of being that type of alpha receiver.
I've liked Tillman since he came in because he doesn't body catch most of the time. Obviously, he had the drop, but he hand catches really well. Yes. In traffic, he goes up and gets it. He plucks it out of the air. He's a big body guy. I mean, I don't want to overblow one game and say, this is our number one receiver. But man, if he can build on this and him and Jameis can have chemistry and we can keep getting him open. I like what I see out of Cedric Tillman. Like, I've liked him since day one, and now it seems maybe he's going to finally get that opportunity, and he's healthy, and he's going to play with a quarterback who can get him the ball consistently. Man, all of a sudden you feel a lot better about where you're at if he can continue to ascend.
Yes, if he continues to ascend, and this is the sort of output that you can reasonably expect from him, 7 to 10 catches a game, 75 to 100, maybe 100 yards, whatever. You're looking at, if the Browns can get themselves an explosive playmaker in the future, you're looking at your Jamar Chase, T. Higgins type of pairing, because I think that's kind of what Tillman profiles as, closer to like a T. Higgins type of wide receiver, that bigger body down the field along the sideline kind of strong catch receiver, which, man, if he can be that type of guy for the Browns, we finally hit one.
So not to go crazy real quick, I don't want to throw us, we're in a good rhythm, but are we live?
Yeah. Why?
My YouTube's not live.
Your YouTube's not live?
No, and we don't have, like, the chat's not going. There's nobody here.
Well, if you guys can, let's see. I see 55 viewing right now.
I see 6 waiting.
Really? Well, if you guys are in the chat, can you, the chat did kind of stop, didn't it?
Yeah, the chat's been I mean, typically it's nonstop. This will sound good on the audio version.
Oh, yeah, this will be great. At least I can cut this part out.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Kenny Mack, anybody? Can you guys hear us?
Let me see. Yeah, the chat did stop, didn't it? Is anybody out there?
Tell Blake to refresh. Okay, so the chat's on my phone, but on my computer and everything, I got nothing.
Okay, so they're saying we're good. So we're just giving you guys primetime entertainment here.
All right, sorry about that. I guess I got I'll keep the chat pulled up on my phone then. I've refreshed on my computer a bunch of times. I appreciate you guys hanging out.
Yeah, we've got the chat on a screen up here behind the camera, and it's not refreshing either, so it is really weird.
Yeah. And I can hear myself now. I'm hearing our past episode. Oh, it's in my phone.
Okay. Well,
all right. Here we go.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry about that. I just want to make sure we weren't just talking to ourselves because, we're putting out good content right now.
So we think, right?
Yeah, so we thought. It sucks now. Anyways, our train of thought, what we're talking about in terms of Tillman and ascending.
Yeah.
You suddenly feel a lot better about your wide receiver core going forward. I did want to talk about the poll we put out, and we put it out on social media also. So I want to kind of talk about that in what we thought was the biggest reason for the offensive change. Okay. I just exited out of YouTube and came back to it on my computer, and we're good now. Okay. Right. So I believe the options were the biggest reason for the change was playing Jameis at quarterback, Ken Dorsey calling plays now, Jed Will's not playing left tackle.
Yeah, DeJuan Jones and the O-line play overall.
Yeah, and then
Nick Chubb's getting the bigger workload now.
And Nick Chubb working his way back in. I guess I will say, what did you think? Because I know what our poll said here, and I know what people are saying online. So what were your thoughts? What did you think was the biggest reason for the change?
The biggest impact, and we talked about this on the preview show, how the Browns are doing the opposite of what you're supposed to do with the scientific experiment theory.
Only change one thing.
Only change one variable at a time, so you know what made the difference. We changed like 4. Jameis Winston at quarterback, I think you talked about it, alluded to at the beginning of the show, when you got a quarterback who can identify things pre-snap in the defense, knows where to go with the ball, gets the ball out in a timely manner, and it's on target, that changes everything. I mean, I feel like the offensive line play, we've talked about it all season, hasn't been terrible. It's just they're asking them to do what they're not good at, and that's pass block. Forever, yeah. We can talk about that time to throw here in a second and how big of a difference it really is between the two quarterbacks. But, what Jameis was able to do in that game, you already said it. It made the receivers better, the playmakers, because they're getting the ball where they're supposed to be getting it. There's no confusion. There's no frustration. Like, hey, I'm open every freaking play and you're not seeing me.
I'm out here doing track practice.
Yeah, it's just cardio all day for us. And And again, back to the line. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. The line is not like it's that much different. I mean, yeah, we got rid of Jed Wills because he was hurt and moved over DeJuan Jones. But I mean, like last week, it was our 2 starting tackles. It was Jed and Jack, and we had Joel all season. Postic's been in there. We got Teller back. Like he's been in there earlier this season. It's not like we have this entire patchwork offensive line all season. So
this was the healthiest the starting offensive line has been in a while. I'll definitely say that. But it was Jameis playing quarterback. And most of the poll, I think when I looked, 80% said Jameis Winston was the biggest reason. But online, a ton of people like on X and Facebook and stuff, so many people were saying B and then A, and saying you wouldn't have had to do A if we had B. Guys, it was the same play calling.
Yeah.
I could make the argument that bad play calling gave them 7 points before the half. You know, with where it's 3rd and 15 and we go empty with no against an aggressive team, and then we get blindside sacked and fumble, and then they go down. Like, I could make the argument that that's not a good play call, and it led to them getting points right before the half. He's calling plays from the same playbook. It's the same guys designing the offensive game plan throughout the week. It was executed better. That was the difference. The play calling is, I think, so overblown. I mean, obviously, situationally, you can do different things. Maybe you run it instead of pass it and all that good stuff. They're all communicating in the headset. You think if Ken Dorsey didn't do something that Kevin liked multiple times in a row, Kevin wouldn't get on the headset and be like, Ken, figure it the F out, or I'm going to be calling plays in the second half.
Yeah, and if we go for a 4th down, guess whose decision that is?
Yeah.
It's Kevin's.
So the play calling, I feel like, was so overblown. I think where the play calling comes into account then is then game management on Kevin's part. And I did like seeing him in like the CEO role. Mm-hmm. He just didn't have as much he seemed like he didn't have as much going on all at the same time, constantly worrying about what play he was going to call. Like he could just watch the game and take it in and like make decisions and think about them without having to go over and talk to the quarterback and talk to the offense and all that good stuff. I thought the time management at the end of the game was very good. I thought we took up about as much clock as you could want to take up without getting too vanilla and having to settle for a 50-plus yard field goal with a kicker who's been spotty this year at that distance. So you had to go out and make sure that you actually scored the touchdown. But I loved how we made them use their timeouts. We kept ours, and we were able to give our defenders rest on that final drive. We were able to let them come out, see what they're going to come out, pop a timeout, and go. And now they have to adjust. So they picked their favorite play. We see the formation, call timeout. Now they have to come out in their second favorite play, or at least their second favorite formation. So we did that 3 different times on that final drive, getting to make sure we have the exact personnel we went in. So I liked seeing him in that CEO role. I thought Ken Dorsey called a good game. I'm not saying, it doesn't matter at all. I just think some people really overdo. If the plays are working, everybody loves the play caller. And if the plays aren't working, everybody hates the play caller. It comes down to execution 95% of the time. But I liked seeing Kevin in that CEO role. In terms of like the offensive line and blocking, we still didn't run the ball great.
No.
We averaged 3.5 yards a carry. Nick Chubb had 16 carries for 52 yards. He only averaged 3.3 yards a carry. He had a long run of 15. So he had, 15 carries for 35 yards outside. I had 2 yards a carry. But when you're converting third downs and you're not going 3 and out every time, you can be more committed to the run game because you're converting third downs. So you're on the field more. So therefore now, even if we're not running it great, we can still sprinkle in runs and keep the defense honest. We only ran the ball for 3.5 yards a carry, but we ran it 23 times at least.
Right.
And you're not going to just run the ball down the throat to the Ravens when their secondary has been trash.
When they're the best run defense in the league.
So obviously you're going to go against their weakness, but we were able to run enough to keep them honest, enough to just stay ahead of the chains at certain times. Like you said before we came on the show, Nick Chubb doesn't get stuffed for 0, hardly ever.
Right.
Even if there's nothing there, he finds a sliver and gets us 2, gets us 3. And I know the numbers don't say it, but you kind of felt like he was starting to get some of his juice back a little bit, and he's only going to keep getting better and better the more he gets to play. And we get a game against the Chargers and then a bye week in which he gets to get even more healthy and more, in shape, and then come back out after the bye against the Saints, whose defense is abysmal right now. So we got some 3 weeks or so coming up where Nick Chubb can really hopefully be hitting his stride as we're entering the super difficult part of our schedule.
I know a lot of people when, we were speculating and kind of projecting and talking about Nick Chubb coming back from his injury, the word superhuman, superhero, Batman, all that kind of stuff got thrown around a lot for Nick Chubb. And I mean, the guy, me and Justin were a little more on the side of, I think it's going to be a slow build up for him, maybe 5 to 10 touches a game for the first handful of games or whatever. His workload is crazy for where he is in this recovery. I mean, yesterday was his second game back and 16 carries already. Like he is our bell cow lead, do it all running back. And it's good to see because like you said, he does not get stuff for zero. He makes something out of nothing. Watching him shows me just how honest, and I'm not trying to like knock the guy, but just how not that great Jerome Ford is and just how special Nick Chubb is as a runner. Cause he just has that runner's instinct of how to shift and twist and dive and fall forward every single time.
Yeah. It's big for the offense. I wanted to talk about the third downs, which I took notice of during the game. Third down efficiency. We were 8 of 15. We picked up 8 first downs. We converted 8 third downs this game. Do you realize there was a stretch? We went 0 for 27 on third down with Deshaun Watson in a 2-game stretch at one point this year.
Yep.
That is killer. That is awful. The Ravens were only 2 of 10 on third down. I thought the defense, outside of the last 3 minutes, the defense was amazing. I thought we had a chance at possibly a safety on him. He's dancing around in the end zone.
Yeah.
And then a minute and a half later, they score a touchdown. I'm like, come on, you guys have played great all day. And then we let them march right down the field after we took the lead. Come on now. But I thought the defense had their swagger. They just were playing aggressive, and it looked like everybody felt like there was a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just felt so much more bought in. I remember it was about halfway through the third quarter. I thought to myself, no matter what happens in this game, win or lose, at least I have got to watch a competent football team today.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how far the bar had been lowered because of the way the season has gone. And we had playoff aspirations, but I watched that game thinking we look like a professional football team. I don't feel like everybody needs fired. I don't feel like we need to enter a rebuild. Thank God.
And it just, man, I know like our hopes and expectations for Deshaun Watson coming into the season were high. And last year, the Browns won most of their games with him at quarterback. Something changed drastically, and he is not an NFL caliber quarterback anymore. And that nothing made that more clear than yesterday. Same offense, like you said, play caller, Kevin, Ken, whatever, doesn't really matter. They're calling the same offense. It's just who's managing certain things during the game. Same line, essentially, same receivers, minus Amari Cooper. And look at the result. Look at the outcome. Completely different. And it was all because everything, you said it all season long, the Browns had a lot of problems on offense. But the biggest one was the quarterback, and all the other problems came from that. Like they got worse.
Yes, I talked about it a million times. If you build on a bad foundation, everything's going to look worse.
Yeah.
You have a state-of-the-art door, but it won't close if your foundation's crooked.
Yeah.
And your door frame's slanted because your floor is sinking in.
Yeah.
You could have a $10,000 gold crusted door. It won't close.
It doesn't do its job.
Yes. David Lancey, do either of you have a pulse? Where's your streaming energy? Well, go ahead and pin the link to your podcast and I'll watch it so I can see how to do it.
The streaming energy.
Yeah. Apparently we're not yelling enough. I don't know. Go back and watch when we sucked last week. I did some yelling. The Ashton says all we need now is a soft retool. I agree. I think I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. And this is just Browns fandom. I went from, man, we should not try to win too many games so we can get a top pick, to playoffs aren't out of the question. Now they're a long shot. They're a long shot. Don't get me wrong, but we're 2-6, and the 3 teams that only have a 2-game lead on us in the wild card right now are the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Chargers. We play all 3 of those teams. We can beat all 3 of those teams. It starts this week though, and we have to go back. We heard it all season last year. 1-0. It's a week by week mentality. We just have to go 1-0 this week. Take care of business this week against the Chargers, and go on a 2-game win streak heading into your bye. And then get yourself healthy, get right, get more reps with Jameis, and come out against a struggling Saints team and see if you can get to a 3-game win streak heading into that first game against Pittsburgh. But one game at a time, and I don't say you control your own destiny because you started 2-6, but the teams that are ahead of you immediately that you need to beat, we get to play all of them. We don't have to rely on somebody else to beat the Dolphins. We get to do that if we want to go to where we think we can go. Yeah. So obviously it's a long shot. I think at worst you can lose 2 more games this year. At worst. If you lose 2 more, you're probably hoping other things happen. You don't control your own destiny. Even if you only lose 1 more, you still might need some help. But I'm at the point now where screw that top 5 pick if Jameis can play like this. And now if this was a fluke and he comes out and he throws 15 interceptions, in the next 8 games or whatever, okay, don't win any games and let's get our quarterback. But if Jameis comes out here and proves that he can play in this offense and we just need a soft retool and we can be good again next year and not waste the first month and a half of our season, I'd feel great going 9-8 this year after the way it started.
Yeah. I mean, and the whole lose games so you can get a top pick to get a quarterback thing. It's always a hairy situation for me talking about that kind of stuff because you got years where the top quarterback in the draft is Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis, and it's like there are none. Or you have the year where it's Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, and Zach Wilson. And it's like, okay, you weren't going to get your answer in that draft either. It's just so hard to just have the mentality of throw away a season for the chance. And the thing is, I was talking to somebody on social media today. There are so many bad teams in the NFL right now, like bad record teams, 1-6 teams, 2-5, 2-6 teams. And except for the Patriots, they all need quarterbacks. Like all these teams are going to be at the front end of that draft with bad records, looking for a quarterback. There's going to be teams trying to make trades if they got a guy. Like, I'm just saying there's no guaranteed path to the Browns if they don't win another game that they get this top 5 pick and they get the right quarterback. It's going to be a fight for even if there is anybody worth it.
I don't know if there's a guaranteed guy that you think entering this draft is the guy.
Yeah.
Shador's the big name. I think he's good. Cam Ward, there's good things and bad things you hear. A name I'm hearing a lot is Nussmeier out of LSU, but I don't even know if he's going to come out, especially with NIL now. Mm-hmm. He might just, if he gets an NIL deal, just stay in college and, come out the year after. So if you have a chance to go 9-8, my biggest concern is, and I trust AB to figure it out, would be if Jameis plays well enough for us to say go 9-8, and obviously he would need extended then. We'd have to, can we afford that? Because he'll demand, there'll be teams wanting him to start. So can we afford that with what's on the books? And hopefully.
Well, according to Jack Duffin, we can, because he keeps talking about the Browns going after a guy like Kirk Cousins next year, which would be even more expensive than Jameis Winston.
I guess it depends on if we keep Deshaun on the roster and just keep him away, or if we look to just get rid of, like, we're just going to cut ties and not have him hanging around, because that's going to be the more expensive one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, those are all problems for another day. I want to watch competent football. I want to watch competitive football. You know why? Because I'm still sitting down every Sunday to watch the Browns play.
Yeah.
And what we saw for the first 8 games of the season, or 7 games, whatever, I can't do that all season.
No, it was miserable. It felt so good waking up today and being excited to come do the show. It felt good. I was excited to get on YouTube and look up videos and coverage of the Browns and look up stats and all that. This is the first time in a while. The last month, I haven't even felt like doing the show. Like it's just been like, well, we suck. What else is there to say?
Yeah,
this is awful.
Let's talk about different ways we suck.
Yeah. So I would love to just be good. And somebody said playoffs too early. Let's get back to 500. We'll talk. I agree. We We're Browns fans.
Well,
so we're saying the season is still alive.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's 1 week at a time. The first step is just winning this week, inching our way back into it. But there's still season out there, and there's still reason for these guys to come out and play hard, which I think gives us an advantage then. If the season's lost, then guys just start checking out.
Yeah, I told you, Barry Shuck from Dogs by Nature texted me last night after the game and said, would you believe that the Browns are only 2 games out of a wild card spot right now? And I said, no. Like, honestly, unless I looked at it and actually figured that out, I would have never guessed that. Like, you're right. I mean, it is a long shot, and we shouldn't even be talking playoffs, but it's just worth mentioning that there is a pathway. There is a pathway, but we got to get back to the 1-0 every week mentality that this team had last year. You got to go 1-0 every week. You can't start thinking about, well, who's coming up after the bye. If you're not thinking about anything but the Chargers, then you're getting way too ahead of yourself.
So do we want to go to another voicemail?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's get our boy Brad in here.
Hey guys, it's Brad Moneymaker. Sorry I'm under the weather, so my voice probably sounds like I smoked 5 packs of cigarettes. But woo! We won a game, guys. Against the Ratbirds of all people. Let's go. Offense looked 4,000 times better. Defense came to play. Special teams looked better. It seemed like all around, locker room, bark, everything just looked better. I don't want to take anything away from Jim Donovan. Rest in peace, you legend. But I think they played with some passion because he passed. Don't want to say it was all of that, but definitely looked out for us. Some plays there. It was good all around. Cedric Tillman is a dog. And hopefully JLK gets better real soon. And also Denzel Ward, man, you got to wear that thing around your head or something, brother. All right, guys. Can't wait to hear about the show, bro. And have actually a Wayne Monday. Let's go.
I wanted to talk about, he said, doing it against the Ratbirds, the Ravens. Fun stat. Since Kevin Stefanski was hired as head coach in 2020, the Browns are 10-4, which is a 714 win percentage at home against the AFC North.
That's pretty good.
I was talking to a guy at work, so that's in the last 4.5 years now. Did we even have 10 AFC North wins in the previous 5 years before him?
And think about it.
If
Jameis had played all week or all game last week, we would have beaten the Bengals.
Yeah, no doubt. So this was why the change needed to happen at the quarterback position, because I did not want to fire Kevin Stefanski, and I was talking about how if it continues to go off the rails, you might have to do a clean reset.
Yeah.
Because the locker room would be too far gone. So just getting this game under our belt, making that switch and looking more competent, looking professional, and the guys are playing hard. It's a breath of fresh air.
Well, that's 2-0 against the Bengals in our last 2 games against them, right?
Ravens.
Ravens, yeah, sorry.
So we have split with them since Kevin's become our coach, or are we now up a game?
I think we were 500 because now we're up a game, right, against the Ravens.
Yeah, somebody in the chat, so we're not just sitting here dead air. Fact check us. Are we now, since Kevin Stefanski's been hired, are we now +1 on the Ravens since he's been hired? Because I feel like we are. I feel like the only team that has a better division record than us is
against
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think so.
So Kevin Stefanski and his offense have won with Jameis Winston, Joe Flacco, DTR, PJ Walker, Case Keenum, Baker Mayfield, but couldn't score 20 points with Deshaun Watson. So the problem's not Kevin Stefanski. Just a little bit more about the offense. We had completions on throws of 15 yards plus downfield. Deshaun Watson had 9 all season. Jameis Winston had 8 in one game.
See, I knew it, the downfield passing, man. Whew.
Yes, I wanted to talk about that because we talked about the supporting cast and we got off a topic a little bit. The touchdown to David Njoku is a prime example of why the change needed to be made and why I don't think the play caller was the issue. It was the quarterback, because the day before the game, I sent a Jake Burns video about these plays, these examples are why I'm feeling optimistic about the offense tomorrow. We were leaving chunk plays all over the field. Even Deshaun's game against Cincinnati before he got injured and he had a good completion percentage and he still was just checking down and not seeing things. He throws a check down on the first play of the game. It could have been a 40-yard completion to either Moore or Judy. Both of them, or Thrash or Judy or something like that. I forget what the video was, but they're wide open. They mesh and both of them come wide open and he just isn't looking. And I'm like, what are you looking at? So But this pass to David Njoku, if Deshaun was still playing quarterback, that is most likely a sack because nobody was open. David Njoku was well covered, but they're in man coverage and the defender's back is to the quarterback. So obviously he can't see. So Jameis puts it up and gives his guy a chance to go up and make the play, put it where only he can get it. He knows the guy can't see that he's about to throw the ball because his back is to the quarterback. Deshaun wouldn't have attempted that throw. So he probably would have sat there and he would have patted the ball and he would have handed the ball and ran into pressure, and it's probably a sack or a check down or a 1 yard scramble out of bounds. That's the huge difference in the offense.
Yeah, it was like that play at the end of the Raiders game, right, where Judy comes wide open going into the end zone and Deshaun, instead of throwing it to him, scrambles out and ends up getting sacked. It's just there's no anticipation on the throws where like the QB IQ, the being able to read the field, read the defense, know what kind of situation you're in. Like you said, Jameis, put the ball up, give your guy a chance to go make the play, recognizing that kind of stuff. Like that's called competent quarterback play. That's what we've been asking for all freaking season, and we finally got it.
Pee-wee's Burnt Pizza said the Browns are actually 3-2 in their last 5 versus the Ravens. That's why when a lot of people get in here and talk crap about the AFC North, I'm like, we take care, since Kevin's been hired, we take care of business in the AFC North. Yeah. We can't help it that no NFC team can beat the Ravens. We beat you more times than we lose to you in our last 5 tries.
Right.
So that's where that kind of stuff, it's like, can we get some help from some of these other teams? Because we since Kevin has been hired, have done a good job in the AFC North, especially Absolutely. At home, obviously.
Yeah. And then you want to talk about time to throw a little bit with Jameis, because a lot of people are saying, well, look at the offensive line. They actually wanted to block for Jameis. Like, guys, it's not that they didn't want to block for Deshaun. It's that they can't block forever. Yeah. They can't just hold their blocks for as long as Deshaun was holding the ball. And we were talking about before the show, Jameis Winston yesterday had I think it was a 2.41 time to throw, 2.41 seconds on average. That makes him, that's the second lowest time to throw, the second quickest release of the football in the NFL this year. The only one quicker than him so far this year has been Tua. Deshaun Watson is over 3 seconds. He's one of the highest time to throws, holds the ball the longest, takes in the longest to throw the ball. When your quarterback's making decisions and getting the ball out quick, 2.41, that's fast.
Yeah.
If you guys go look at the stats, that's quick.
Yeah, it goes, it's everything. It's pre-snap, knowing where to go with the ball.
Yeah.
Also, the line looks better if the quarterback can get them in the right protection. There were times with Deshaun where the protection's not even right. We're sliding left and it should have been sliding right. The quarterback is the one who calls out the protections like that pre-snap. So much goes into that. You don't just have a 2.4 time to release by just catching the ball and just throwing it somewhere.
Exactly.
It's preparation. It's coming out and looking at what the defense is doing pre-snap and knowing what the read is and watching the right place on the field and knowing where to go with the football. That's how you do that. And because of that, now because we're converting, which we've already talked about, now you can run the ball. I can run the ball on 1st and 10. And if we only get 2 yards, I know I can throw the ball on 2nd and 8 and we're going to get 6. And then I know that we actually have a chance to convert on 3rd down. So I can run the ball a couple times on this drive. And now all of a sudden, now the defense has to guess. They're not just pinning their ears back. So that is easier on your offensive line and on your tackles because they're not just playing like it's the 4th quarter and they're up 20.
Yeah, the pressure rate from the Ravens was a lot lower than what we've seen from other defenses this season. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So just that change was the number one thing to get this season back on track. And I already can't wait for Sunday.
Me too.
It's the first time I've been looking forward to a Browns game in a while now.
If the Browns had not done, and whatever, I'm done speculating about the whole situation, but whatever the BS reason was to make DTR the QB2 last week against Cincinnati, if they had just let Jameis be QB2 like he was the entire season, this probably would have been our second win in a row, looking for 3 against the Chargers. So I am so pumped to have Jameis Winston at quarterback. I think everybody I've talked to online, it has nothing to do with anything else other than being able to play the position competently and move the ball.
Yeah. Do we have another voicemail we want to get to?
We do. Last voicemail of the night, and this one's from Stacy.
As Kevin says, how about that team win? Oh my gosh, it feels great to finally say that the Browns have won a game, and it's been a minute, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet, but I just want to say I really love the attitude and excitement that Jameis brings to the team. He's on the sidelines. They pan to him. You see him talking to Jerry Jeudy, talking over things. You see him after in the post conference talking about how mentioning each guy and how each member of the team has done an amazing job. And I just feel like he brings such an upbeat energy to the team that he just makes it fun to watch. I feel like he makes the players want to play. Like, it's just a whole different attitude and atmosphere than when Deshaun was here. I felt like when Deshaun was here, it was almost like there was a gray cloud over the team. And now Jameis has come in here like a little bit of sunshine, and maybe we can get string some wins together. All right, go Browns.
Jack in the comments on YouTube, he goes up to the games. Justin goes up to the games with him, I'm pretty sure. And he said the vibe in the stadium was completely different. The energy was awesome. It just felt, it had like a last year feel to it. And you could feel it. I could feel it watching TV. Even the announcers were talking about it in terms of like, this doesn't even feel like the same team, the way they're playing, the way they're executing, and the energy they're bringing. Just, it was like, you could tell the difference. And I loved Kevin, like, putting the doubt in terms of he can't rally a locker room. You know, it took 1 week. We make the switch at quarterback, and all of a sudden he's giving great post-game speeches and all that stuff. So putting that to rest in 1 week, hopefully. And I also, Kenny and I talked about this on our episode, was this being fed up with Jameis Winston. And we were super surprised because everybody, it's hard to find people who don't like playing with Jameis Winston or have bad things to say about him. I mean, even media like him. So we were shocked when we heard something like that. It didn't seem that way in this game, at least not to me. They didn't look fed up to me.
No, they didn't. And I mean, again, it goes back to last week and what was that whole situation? I mean, the whole thing was very weird. Like, it was weird vibes, strange explanations about why that change was made and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, we said it for weeks now. Winning fixes a whole hell of a lot, pretty much everything. And this week it has fixed a ton. Now we need to start stacking these wins and show that we are a competitive football team, the competitive football team that we thought we were going to be, you know, all season. So I do feel like there is a difference in Jameis's leadership versus Deshaun's. You can feel it. I mean, Jameis was the hype man all season, even though he was the backup guy. I feel like Deshaun's a little more of a go with the flow, passive kind of personality. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's not a get up and give a speech in front of everybody kind of dude. Jameis is. Jameis is definitely that guy, and he plays that role very well. And you can see the team. I had so many people say, like, we just need somebody the team can rally behind and somebody the fans can rally behind. And, well, that's what you saw yesterday.
So we talked a lot about the offense. I want to talk about somebody on defense that I thought played out of his mind.
Yeah.
And that was Diabate. He freaking balled out.
Yes, he did.
If he can grow like that, it was like the Cedric Tillman of our defense.
Yeah.
Just watching him all this like blossom right before our very eyes in a big game against a division rival at home. There were a couple times he met Derrick Henry in the hole and just squared him up, shoulder in his belly, just blat. And I was like, oh, we need that. He played out of his mind.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said Derrick Henry because, you know, Derrick Henry was like over 100 yards pretty much every game this year. Like, he's
leading the NFL in rushing, I'm pretty sure.
828 yards, I think, and like 8 touchdowns or something, or 8-6. I forget it. Leading the league. Like, he is the dude. And the Ravens, that's what they want to do, is they want to come out and pound you and run the ball. And we held him to 73 yards on 11 carries, which is a high average, but he had 46 of those on 1 carry. Outside of that one long run, we shut down Derrick Henry pretty well, which it goes back to the Eagles games when I started to really see it. We shut down Saquon Barkley, and it's like, hey, that's pretty cool. Like, our defense can shut down these superstar running backs in these big run games. And then the Bengals didn't run against us at all. Like, we shut that down. And we pretty much, for all intents and purposes, that was a shutdown of Derrick Henry yesterday.
Yeah.
And Diabate was a big part of that.
I talked about it. I said this defense has been playing plenty well enough for us to win football games if we could just get anything out of the offense.
Absolutely. The defense has been fine.
And you saw, again, you weren't going to play at a historic pace every single year like we were at times last year. We got to play a lot of bad quarterbacks last year at times too.
Yeah.
And we feasted on them and bad offensive lines. But this defense is playing plenty well enough for us to win football games. This was being talked about as the most complete offense in football, maybe the best offense in football and the hottest football team right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And we played them extremely well. Jameis outplayed Lamar. Everybody talks about Jameis's could have had 3 or 4 picks. Lamar could have had 3 picks.
Oh, easy. Yep.
Okay. It was Lamar's 23 of 38 for 289 and 2 touchdowns. Now he could have had about a zillion yards if Rashad Bateman doesn't catch it off his face mask.
Or if he throws it a little sooner and leads him. That was an easy touchdown.
So
we got burned on that play.
But there was the defense is so much better than they were made to look the first month and a half, 2 months of this season when they're on the field constantly, when they know the littlest mistake and if they give up points, it's over. Now they can play free. They can play relaxed. They can play aggressive. They can play loose. They can go out and be what they were last year. And like you mentioned with Saquon, I'm pretty sure when we played Saquon, he was leading the league or at least top 2 or 3 in the league.
I think he was
in
third
rushing.
leading rusher.
Okay.
Yeah. And
then we come in, we play Derrick Henry. We've shut down the 2 leading rushers in football the 2 last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so disappointing, and I feel for everybody out there. I've been seeing a lot of the comments. Like, it really does make me mad that we wasted the first 7 weeks of the season dicking around with this whole quarterback situation. And I get it. There's a financial investment, and you'll want to see the guy you paid actually play. But if you watched him play, you kind of knew that was the main issue. So hopefully we can get things turned around. Hopefully it's not too late. But at the very worst, just give me competent, competitive football to watch for the rest of the year, please.
Yes, I don't want to just sit here.
No, I wanted to talk about JOK. So JOK met Derrick Henry head on and that collision was nasty. Derrick Henry's 250 plus pound running back coming full steam.
It looked like when I got hit and my truck got totaled and the bigger truck that hit me didn't have a scratch.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it looked like. Like Derrick Henry just walks out the field, didn't even notice that JOK ran 30 miles per hour into him with a full head of steam, and JOK's laying on the field convulsing. It was
scary situation. So he got carted off, stabilized, carted off. Took him to the hospital, spent the night for observation. But you said he was released, right? I didn't see an update.
I did see he was released.
So hopefully everything's okay. He might, missed a few games or whatever, but I mean, that's a guy that we can't afford to lose for very long on our defense. He's one of our top defenders, leading tackler. He was in the backfield too yesterday, like against Lamar and those guys making plays. And it's like, man, these guys are getting after it.
I don't know. I saw his release, but I don't know what the official diagnosis was. He got up and walked out, and I think he posted something on X that said all good.
Yeah, he said all good.
So I can't imagine he's going to play this week. But so was it a stinger?
Yeah, probably.
And if it's a stinger,
do you remember when Foreman got flown out from the Greenbrier and he had that neck stinger or whatever?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it'll probably be the same thing. Maybe it'll go down the concussion route because it was like a head thing too. So maybe they just wanted to
misses this week and then he gets the bye and then maybe he's back for the Saints.
Yeah, maybe.
So maybe this is speculation.
I would imagine
obviously.
I don't know. Saints, yeah.
I don't know exactly what the diagnosis was, but to be released already, he walked out. He said he's fine.
I will say with the neck injuries, you see the top level of overcautiousness
for sure
with the NFL teams. So I'm not saying it wasn't, a serious situation. I'm just saying it probably looked way more serious than it actually was, which is good. It's really good. And then Brad mentioned Denzel Ward with another freaking concussion. That's 6 now in his career. Somebody had one over wasn't it in training camp?
Yeah. Somebody said he's going to have to retire. And I said, if Tua is not retiring, he doesn't have to retire.
Nobody should. You said, put the pillow on your head, dude. Come on.
He mentioned it and we talked about it before we went live. I don't understand why he's not wearing one. And
of all people, he should be.
And he wears it in practice.
Yeah.
They have to. Why not if you're a leader of this team, you're one of the top paid corners, you're one of our best players, you're one of the best corners in football. Wouldn't you want to do everything you can to ensure that you can be on the field as much as possible for your team? So I don't understand why he won't wear one. And you can say Maybe it's a preference in terms of he doesn't like it. Maybe he feels like it slows him down or he can't do this. You're a world-class athlete, man. You'll adjust.
Yeah.
And you wear it every day in practice. It can't be that big of an adjustment that it's going to take you from elite to all of a sudden you can't play cornerback anymore, because guess what? You can't play anymore is cornerback if your brain is bleeding constantly. Like I just don't understand. I don't understand why he won't wear it. If I can understand these guys who maybe don't have a history of concussions, they've never had one. It's never been an issue for them. So if they're not wearing it, and that's fine. If they catch a fluke one, then maybe they start. But if you're a guy who's now on your 6th, you would think you'd be wearing it. And I know they're not foolproof. But they definitely make it harder to get a concussion.
Yeah, I mean, every little bit of protection you can get, especially with the way the NFL is diagnosing concussions now at such a high clip. And it's just like the neck thing. Like when it comes to the concussion stuff, they're being super cautious unless you're Josh Allen and you need to go out and win. Then they kind of look the other way. But for pretty much everybody else, if you got any symptoms of concussion, you're coming out. I don't know, just...
Pee-wee's Burnt Pizza said, was JOK wear? Because that's not a normal helmet. He's wearing the Guardian cap.
Yeah.
It's just for the games, they give you basically the helmet decoration to
like it's
slip over
the sublimated, the slip to go over top of the Guardian cap that has... Because you'll see, like Jonathan Taylor wore one in the preseason. They had it was white and had the Colts logo. Yep. I mean, it looks like your helmet.
Yeah, and we talked about it. Some people don't want to wear it because they maybe it's the way it looks, but JOK wears one, and you can tell obviously when it's up close with replay. But when you're just watching the game, you don't even notice it. And to be honest, who gives a shit if you look stupid? Be healthy on the field.
And I was going to say, like, as a fan watching the game, like I notice it. And like, obviously I recognize it and I process, he's wearing a Guardian cap. I don't care.
No.
I don't care what he looks like. I don't care if he's got an arm sleeve. I don't care if he's got the arm braces on. I don't care if they're wearing wristbands or head wraps. I don't give a shit what you're wearing. Make the freaking tackle. That's all I care about. You look stupid when you miss a tackle.
Yes.
Not when you're wearing something protective.
I completely agree. It's wild to me that he isn't wearing one because he's so good.
Yeah.
And he's playing out of his mind this year.
I know. He's like one of the top-rated cornerbacks in the whole league. And like we said earlier, I mean, man, he was so close to a Lamar Jackson interception early in that game. The interceptions, that's one thing I wanted to talk about too. Like, they have to start coming at some point.
Yeah, we got to get our guys on the jugs machine.
Yeah.
We got to start forcing more turnovers. I mean, that's one thing I feel like is missing from the defense. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I feel like we forced turnovers last year. At least we started to, like, into the season. I feel like we're not forcing a ton.
We're not.
What's his face says, it's funny that we're 2-6 and I'm feeling better than the Bengals fans at 3-5.
Yeah.
If we started Jameis last week, we would have dropped 50 on him. We would have killed him.
Yeah.
You'll never convince me otherwise. The Bengals are cooked.
They're not good.
They're not good. Their defense is so bad. Zach Taylor's not a good football coach.
They got destroyed by the Eagles, who looked like one of the worst teams in the league when they played us.
Yes.
I'm so mad about that game last week. I'm so mad that they, for whatever reason, had DTR as the backup. But I did want to go through real quick. And, the Browns, we've been talking for forever. Like, can we just get over 20 points? Can we just get a 200-yard passer for once? Well, we got a 200-yard passer and finally a 300-yard passer, both in one game. We got over 20 points, damn near got to 30 in the same game. And for the total offense, let's see, last week against the Bengals was the first game that we went over 300 yards total offense in this season. Other than that, we've been under 300 the entire season, and yesterday we hit 401 against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Like, this is the Browns offense that can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the league, with this defense that can go toe-to-toe with anybody. Obviously, the Ravens are like the best offense. We did this to them last year when we went to Baltimore and beat them. They were the number 1 seed in the AFC and all that kind of stuff. This is the Browns team we were promised. This is the Browns team we expected. And it's just a shame that we had to wait until week 8 to get it.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch the offense against the Chargers. They're not a great offensive team right now.
No.
Obviously, they have Justin Herbert and
not a lot of weapons.
And not a lot of weapons. This is a game where the defense should come out and play well.
If we shut down J.K. Dobbins in the run game, it'll make them very limited.
Yes. But this will be a test. This will be the best defense we've played.
Yeah.
This will be a test for the offense to see, was this taking advantage of a bad Ravens secondary, or can we actually come out and perform at a high level? Just real quick before we wrap up, I was trying to look at some of these stats for the Chargers. They give up, they only give up 193 passing yards per game. They only give up 4.8 yards per. They give up 112 rushing yards per game. They haven't given up that many points. I think I saw they hadn't given up over 100 points at one point when I was looking last week. I'm pretty sure
that's because they run the ball a lot and they play good defense. So they try to control the line. They try to control the clock. But I mean, like we were talking earlier, the Ravens are like the top rushing defense in the league, and we didn't light them up or anything, but we held our own. And with Nick Chubb continuing to work his way back, I like the way we match up against the Chargers with this offense. Like we were saying before the show, if this is the offense we're going to get, I'll take my chances. I like it, especially since we're at home and they're an offense that's not explosive like the Ravens.
Yeah, they've only given up 91 points.
Yeah, they're good. It's good defense. But they've also haven't played great teams either. I think they've played Have they played Carolina, Denver, some rookie quarterbacks?
They played the Raiders, the Panthers, the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Cardinals, and the Saints. So they haven't played.
Nobody putting up a lot of points this year.
No, not even the Chiefs offense is really is putting up a ton.
Nope.
They've been riding their defense a lot. So no, they haven't played any great offenses yet. I'm not going to say we're a great offense yet. But if we can bring the offense we just had into this game, I like our shot in this game.
Yep.
So I'm really excited to see. I'm excited for this week. I'm excited to be excited about football.
Well, and like you said at the beginning of the show, this is the week that we're doing our dog pack meetup in Cleveland. We're getting together with the Berea Browns backers on Saturday night for an event. Like we're going to have a great time up there. And then Sunday's the game. And you know, the way things were before last week, I was like, yeah, it's going to be cool to go meet everybody, but I'm not really excited about the game. I'm not really excited to go watch the Browns. It's a whole different story now. Like that's how quickly it can change.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We appreciate you guys being here with us and sticking through all the bad, and maybe we're entering some good. I don't want to be premature and start talking, all of a sudden we're an elite team. But man, it feels way better today than it did this time last week.
That's right.
And that's all we can ask for the way the first 2 months of the season went. So we appreciate you guys being here, sticking with it through all the bad, and hopefully we get to enter some good. It was fun to do this episode. Again, RIP to the GOAT, Jim Donovan.
Yeah.
Thanks for the help, buddy. We needed it. Make sure you guys have the notification bell tapped so you don't miss any of the content we're putting out this week with Kenny and I's episode. Our Dog Pack Discord preview episode usually drops on a Friday. We're also going to be doing some bonus content up at this Browns backers party on Saturday, so look for that to come out at some point. So make sure you guys are subscribed and make sure you guys have that bell tapped so you don't miss any of the content we're putting out. Again, we appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you guys sometime later this week.